Well, tonight's meeting to order, the February 17th Board of Education meeting. If it would please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, liberty and justice for all. All right, this meeting has been posted on the normal and customary posting places. So I'm looking for a motion to approve.
We're gonna run the community.
Community forum
Yeah, we're gonna change things up to the.
Okay.
And we'll have a discussion about that later.
Yeah, okay. So we're gonna go right into the community forums.
So, all right, so I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Andersen and Mrs. Iwanski to talk a little bit about our math team, and you'll hear a little bit about how they did.
I know the students who are here for the math team came down and joined us.
Welcome on, welcome around. Go ahead, you have to go to the front. Go.
Thank you.
Okay. We good then?
Yeah, you're good.
So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mary Iwanski. I'm the talent development specialist for the district. As a portion of my job responsibilities, I look for additional opportunities to help showcase some of our exceptional talents in the district. And today we're here to talk about some exceptional math students who represent at the regional math meet at the beginning of January. So every year we get to send 4 kids from each grade level, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, to our regional math meet run by the Southern Lakes Advanced Learning Network, or SLANE as I call it. It's a tough decision every year which 4 students we get to pick. We have a lot of exceptional math students in the district, and over the years we've done various things to kind of determine which kids to send on. This year we streamlined the process even a little bit more to ensure that every child who is showing some of these exceptional opportunities has a moment to try to make it onto our team. So our process included looking at our iReady scores and our forward scores, inviting a smaller group of students from that in order to take some qualifying tests here in the district. So we invited between 15 and 20 students per grade level to take those qualifying tests. Let's say between 50 and 75% of the kids invited chose to participate. So the original, got rid of some kids right off the bat who were like, thanks for recognizing me, but this is not my deal. Like, I don't really want to go to another math competition. From there, we narrowed it down. I will say our toughest competition this year was in 5th grade. We had to go to even an additional tiebreaker round where they had to come in and do some mental math problems to make the team. We had a very tight competition between our 5th graders in order to make the team. So coming out of that, we were able to take 4 kids from each grade level at the beginning of January. We went to UW Whitewater. Mr. Andersen is going to talk about what that experience was because he chaperoned the kids into the room. I sat back in the scoring room and watched their tests come in and entered numbers in a giant spreadsheet that tabulates who wins. So Mr. Andersen is going to share a little bit about what happens in that room.
I want to just kind of set the stage here of the morning, the day, how exciting it is. So we arrived at 7 o'clock in the morning to jump on the bus. It is January, so it's dark, right? The kids are here, lights are on the parking lots. The kids are all here. Bus leaves at 7:10. They're here at 7, right? So excited. We're ready. We're off to North Shore to pick up North Shore students. Hey, they're there. We're heading to Whitewater. We get to Whitewater a little early. And what do? Hey, Mr. Andersen, can you quiz us? Sure. This is 8:20 in the morning. Doesn't start till 9 o'clock. Hey, what are Roman numerals, I think, right? We worked on Roman numerals. We found a little fireplace. We got warm. And we worked on math facts, all kinds of stuff. Some 8th graders went to one room, 5th and 6th grade to another room. Now, when I say a room, the conference rooms at Whitewater are as big as our gymnasium, okay? Tables, 3 kids at a table, a couple hundred kids in each of these rooms. So I'm kind of setting the stage of how many kids, how many schools. This isn't just like a couple little classrooms. They're competing against many other schools, lots of kids, okay? We do the mental math. 7 seconds up on the screen, pencil down, solve it in your head, write it down. Then they write it down, they do it 10 times. Those scores go up, kids score. Then they do individual tests. Again, you challenge most of us to get these questions right. They did a great job, all individuals scored. Then we have to come together, 7th, 8th grade on a team, 5th and 6th grade on a team, and they have to work together. 5th graders don't usually work with the 6th graders, but their goal is to get the best score. So they kind of pair up, what probability, what else are algebraic thinking, and is there one other geometry? So they kind of broke up into their strengths and did a team test. And this is what I'm really proud of. Whether they take individuals medals or a team score, if you saw them putting their heads together and just working, and it's fantastic. So I want to congratulate them, whether they got individual medals or team scores. You should be very, very proud of all your kids, our district. They really, really shine when we go to Whitewater. So then it's all over. We have to wait for the results. And what happens then, all of a sudden we have 7th, 8th graders come and join, because it's by a size of school. And we start with 5th grade. And they start, second place. They only give awards for first and second place. Second place, Merton Intermediate School. Everybody cheers, hundreds of kids cheer. First place, Merton School. Whoa. Right? 6th grade, second place, Merton School. I mean, again, this is top of the top, southeastern Wisconsin, over at Whitewater. Fantastic, right? So we're piling up a lot of individual awards, and then they come up with a team score. First place, Merton Intermediate School. So really, really good. Now they go through and do the 7th, 8th grade. Again, we got an individual award, and also, I believe, second place. Did I think second? Second place for 7th, 8th grade. So they qualified to go to Madison in May. Really a great bunch of kids. I'm very proud of them. Academically and where they showed their teamwork at Whitewater. So congratulations to all of you. Let's have a big round of applause.
Couldn't you have something you want to say about the experience?
I love math, and I love, oh, I forgot one thing. These kids also come Wednesday morning, some of them, or Tuesday morning. Wait, I have a meeting on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday morning, it's at 8 o'clock, they're working with Mrs. Plunkin, just extra math, really working hard. So they work at their craft too, so I'm very proud of you for all of you for that. Yeah, Logan?
One of the great teachers that got me there is Miss Plotkin, because she does like the Tuesdays,
Yep.
and then
Exactly.
I asked her how to get to like the math meet team last year, and she like told me how. And then I just got there this year, so that was good.
Yep. She works on the skills similar to the math meet, right?
Yeah.
Bring home some of the questions and kind of get the format. So like for 5th graders, it's brand new. So it's very like eye-opening. But once you go as a 6th or 5th grader and you're like, oh, I want to go back as a 6th grader, it gets easier and easier. I think, Colin, you're one of those guys that are like, whoa, I can't wait, because it's a good competition, right?
Yeah.
So they're kind of eager to kind of do it again the next time. It is, yeah.
The other great thing, bringing up Mrs. Plotkin, thank you for the reminder to both of you. She started Math Olympiad in our district this year. So beyond the math meet, that we only get to take 4 kids from each grade level, Math Olympiad is an open club that anybody in the school can join. So any of our students, regardless of qualifying for this, she can have as many students as she wants, and it's just an opportunity that any kid who really wants to engage in that additional math time can come on Tuesday mornings and do those skills. And then from there, a lot of these kids use those skills to then qualify for a math meet team, but it has given us the opportunity to have both, something that you have to qualify and be a select for, And then something that's open to anybody who wants to spend that extra time doing extra math. So we really appreciate her work, bringing additional math opportunities to our kids all throughout the year. So that being said, I think that was the last one.
We've got some certificates for you, and I know not everyone was able to make it today, and we'll make sure that whoever's not here gets that. Did we want to highlight some individual winners?
Yeah,
If we could, I think yes.
I was saying.
Obviously, we won some team awards, but then I know Mr. Hanrahan highlighted some individual awards too.
So the only thing, one of the
This has been a hunting.
I know.
story, Mr.
Hey,
Hanrahan.
the other thing I want to mention is,
He was like,
you know, a lot of other schools are never heard of even where Merton's located, right? But when we leave, they'll look and find, oh, I've heard, now they've heard of Merton, right? So these students put Merton on the map, I will say that. So one more big round of applause for you guys.
Cross, and then we'll shake some hands and,
Do we have it?
yes, if you wanted to invite, yeah, just announce the individual winner.
I gotta pull him back up. I want to make sure I don't miss them.
Shake hands, Dr.
Yeah, we'll
Ross.
shake, go. All right, from this one.
Anya, can you come on? Congratulations. Tobias, come on up.
Tobias took first place for seventh grade in the whole meet.
Come on up.
Thank you.
Colin, come on up.
Colin was second place for sixth graders.
Congratulations. Sam? Carbon.
Carbon was first place out of all the fifth graders.
Dylan, come on up. And Bryson.
Correct. Oh, and Mr.
Stop it.
Hannerhan, no,
Hanrahan.
Mr. Hannerhan has graciously been one of my chaperones on this math meet. It takes a lot for a teacher to be out of the district. There's a ton of lesson planning and preparing for a sub. And I really appreciate that year after year when I say, who wants to do this? Dan steps up and you can tell that he loves it, right? It
I
comes
do love
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get those to the, yeah. Great, thank you very much. Congratulations again, and families, thanks for coming out to help us celebrate and hear a little story about how that all went. So thank you very, very much.
Great job, everyone.
Great job.
Just past 6:10.
Community forum.
We can wait, we can do the community forum. As long as we start after 6:10, the board meeting, we're good.
Oh, shit, I started.
We can open it up for a community forum.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let the room settle in here. Oh. Okay. So we're gonna move right into our community forum. Doesn't look like anyone has signed up to speak. Would anyone like to speak to the board this evening? Okay. Seeing none, we'll roll right into our regular meeting here. So looking for approval for tonight's.
No, you might as well just call her to order and.
Oh, okay.
We'll start at the top. Yep, it's a little bit different for you now, so we'll start at the top.
So the whole rigmarole with
The whole rigmarole again. Yep.
All right, so we're gonna call tonight's meeting to order. And we'll explain why we had to do
Yep.
this later
In a
on.
little bit. Yep.
Call this meeting to order for February 17th, 2025. We already did the pledge of allegiance. Okay, everyone comfortable with that? Good. This meeting has been posted in all the normal and customary posting places, so looking for approval of tonight's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this evening's agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, moving forward to the approval of tonight's consent agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion?
No donations tonight, but after we're done, I do want to highlight the January ones, but I didn't verbalize and publicly thank them. So
Okay.
I'll do that after you're done. Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say yes. Yes. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
And last time, I'm sorry, typically we do highlight the donations and I didn't do that last time. So a big thank you. This was a great month for the theater company, you know, so thank you to Ward and Joanne Apps, again, donations to the theater company. Thank you to the Rodden family, who there was some matching donations from Kevin's Bank of America. So that would be from there. Thank you to Doug and Elizabeth Bertrand, again, for some audio and video equipment towards our theater program, and an AT&T matching from Andrea Reed. So again, thank you very, very much to them. And again, I apologize for not publicly recognizing them last month.
No, of course. Thank you. All right, we are moving forward to delegations to be heard, and there are none this evening. So we're going to go to the district administrator's report.
Yep.
So
we're going to start with the principal's report. And again, if the board wanted to scoot back into the audience here, and Maria's going to talk about strategic plan and talking about some staff work we've been doing around the Merton values.
So good evening, everyone. My apologies for my voice. I'm gonna try not to cough on anybody, but gonna do my best today. Today, the principal's report, we're just talking about how we're working on our strategic plan with Merton values with our staff on some of our Wednesday morning meeting times. So we're really looking on that employee experience aspect of our strategic goal. How do we strengthen employment, recruitment, and retention, and employee engagement? So that's kind of where the heart of our work has been the last couple days. Hold on. All right. I think I got that now. All right. So as you know, in the district here, Wednesday morning, staff come in 45 minutes early. And then that equates to 3 professional learning days. And on our calendar, it's a mix of district professional learning days, building level professional learning days. We give them time to collaborate with their grade level or content teams in the morning on whatever's relevant to their work. And we kind of rotate that on every Wednesday basis. It's not exactly every Wednesday because the days, I think we have 32 of them that we use that way. But we started talking about our Merton values now that the strategic plan kind of re-cemented our mission, vision, and values, because we've had a lot of turnover in staff. We haven't done this since I've been here for 3 years. So it gave us a great opportunity to dig in. So the morning of October 23rd, we did an overview of like, what is a value? What does that mean? How do we do that? And that's really important to start talking to the team members about, because we have these values. We want them to be a match, Merton to be a match for the teachers that we hire, because that's one of the best recruitment strategies. How is this value work mean to you? That's who we are as Merton, and where do we fit in that? So we covered what the Merton value is. In December, we did be courageous, which was to talk about what it means to be courageous. And I have a little activity we'll do with that in a minute. January 15th, Mary Iwanski gave me a break, and she did be inquisitive for a former makerspace, because she just still loves that teaching of the makerspace. So she did be inquisitive, and then you see our upcoming dates for some of the remaining goal work that we have on our calendar. What's really important in this professional learning and Wednesday morning is that we really want people to leave with a strategy that they can use in their classroom. So, you know, if Mary Iwanski did something with Be Inquisitive, we shared maybe some new software and interactive things that teachers can do in their classroom. And for Be Courageous, we kind of taught a strategy of how to help kids be courageous by practicing that as adults. So that's what we did. So this is a little thing that we tried, and actually an important strategy for being courageous is visualizing it. What do we do? What visualize it? So here's an example of kind of gave it a try that we kind of did. So to think of, we are thinking about something scary for you and visualize the success. And I put Mardi Gras in here because I wanted to put up like something real for me. We're practicing a lot of vulnerability within our staff, talking about our feelings, which isn't always easy. So I'm always right up there first, putting my life, my family, my kids, my husband, in introspect every time, which I'm sure they love. You know, meeting new people is scary to me because I often feel shy. I visual success like this. Okay, maybe I made this up just a little bit because people that know me know I'm not that shy, but pretend you don't know Maria and I'm shy. So I'm imagining at my husband's work party. It's loud. There's music. Some of my favorite things to eat and drink are there. We enter the party by our happy hosts that take our coats and introduce us to some of our new people and kind of thinking about what that looks like. We ask how long they have worked there, and then other people we know kind of join us. And before we know it, we're laughing and enjoying ourselves. So kind of taking our staff and our kids through like, what does success look like if that's something that's scary to me, right? So now I'm feeling less worried, you know, because I kind of picture what this looks like. It gives me enough courage to kind of go to this work party and try to make that visualization happen. So we practiced that. Staff was given some time to think of some work examples because it is hard to be courageous sometimes in work. So some things that staff members shared in their be courageous was like disagreeing with a colleague over an idea over instruction. What do you do with those team meetings when maybe 2 of you want to go one way and 3 want to go another way? How do you have those critical conversations? How do you visualize that and have them? Making a decision with a significant other, right? Talked about that. Actually, I think that was, you know, one of our team members, very vulnerable moment in that. That might be our boss. And then having a critical conversation with a friend, colleague, or parent. What does that look like? So we took some time kind of visualizing to prepare them to kind of have some of those conversations and to have the courage for what we need to do. So that's kind of how our Wednesday mornings are working. We're looking forward to keep working on some of those strategies, things that staff can take away from the time and hopefully grow their toolbox. And kind of also, I mean, when you're vulnerable, you develop relationships with your team members in more meaningful ways. So that's also a nice thing that we've been all able to talk about and work through on some of these days. So great. That's all I have for the principal report.
Maria forgot to talk about business stuff like insurance. We talk about fun stuff like insurance.
Well, I'm just talking about our Wednesday morning values meeting. We do talk about insurance. We have other meetings, forward testing, practice, and protocoling. Not as fun as this. I know we got a lot of feedback on like the interactive engagement part to what was working, you know, and then some kind of those beginning parts, a little feedback. It's hard to be vulnerable with that. So how do you develop that and keep working with that? So we do that in safe spaces by allowing people to pick their team members who they want to talk to. And we don't make anybody speak out loud. But I have a couple people that'll just keep it going.
Great, thank you for highlights. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Right, and we also did have there was a normal open records request throughout the last month, from the last time we've met.
Anything big?
Nothing big. Nope, nothing big.
It's like how much time?
Time
on it?
Probably, Jim, how much time? Under an hour.
I'm not sending a lot of emails during
No.
the holidays, so it doesn't take a lot of time to go through them, right?
Nope. Then also wanted to report on the human growth and development. Is everybody okay if we talk about that at the last in the new business? We can kind of highlight that, or I can highlight it here too as well. But it is built into our presentation at the end of the meeting for our last agenda item.
I'm good with it as long as
We need
we're
to-
allowed. Do we need to?
You don't need to do anything. I'm just gonna skip over it and it'll all be discussed.
Move it to the.
Yeah, I'm not gonna move it. It'll all be discussed in the new business. So
Under G.
under G. Yep. We'll just highlight it under G.
Okay.
Okay. And then for policy.
Yep, on to
policy,
committee reports.
personnel,
Yep.
committee reports. So the first part of the policy and personnel committee, we spent on reviewing 3 different policies. Again, the first one was 363 educational technology. After reviewing that, and again, this was one of the policies that we reviewed. Oh, it would have been in the summer, right? We reviewed it, just kind of reviewed it and kept an eye on it. And then as we were going to come back to it, and then ultimately it was discovered that that policy was all talked about teachers. Okay, but we've got a lot of other people that work with educational technology that are not teachers. So what you'll see in those revisions, and again, we'll talk about it in a little bit if we wanted to go in a little bit more in depth in the first read, is basically we have covered everything, all staff members. And the big significant part is if you are not a teacher or underneath a teaching contract, for instance, an instructional assistant, if you are going to show an educational video, it has to be approved either by your immediate, what we'd say immediate supervisor. So for instance, if you're special education and you want to show something to enhance the child's education, it needs to be approved by that special educator, by a teacher. Or by an administrator, just like it is with the policy there too. So teachers have the ability to, they can always ask for an administrative approval, but again, they don't have to. For our instructional support staff, though, if you're not underneath the teaching license, we are asking now that if you are going to be showing a video or some sort of educational technology, you run that through either a principal or your direct teacher report. From that standpoint too. So there's not a lot of people that we really feel this affects. Our special educators already kind of work directly with and underneath. There are some areas, when I think about primary school library, there's some short video clips. But again, it's very minimal on that. But again, it does cover all of our staff now, not just teachers. So just kind of cleaning some of that language up.
And since we implemented this, we do have kind of a bank built up, a library bank. And are you guys receiving a ton of requests or has it slowed down? Not as time consuming?
Well,
Like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what that 363, again, we'll kind of, if we need some detailed questions.
We'll say teacher, now says instructional staff.
Instructional staff. Yep. Or staff. Correct. Yeah. So we just cleaned it up to make sure that everybody in the district is covered from that standpoint too.
Second to last paragraph about and that notification that the building principal and director of curriculum should be next. That's 2 people's approval or this is a check.
Yes. Yep. Correct. Needs 2 people. Correct. Yeah. If you got grammar edits, we can always do that. Absolutely.
No, not allowed.
Absolutely. So that's 363. The next one is what we'll be looking for a full dialogue from the board in the first reading. The committee just wanted to kind of bring this to the whole board to have a discussion prior to the second reading is how do we want to handle the community forum? So last month it was brought to our attention that Mr. Lehman was accurate. We just did it. We had a discussion and I apologize. We did not cross-reference it to our policies. Okay. Now I can tell our community the intent of it has been being followed, right? We want to make sure that anybody's able to speak about any topics. The question is where do we want to have it? Do we want to have it as its kind of separate meeting that it starts at 6 o'clock? And again, you can have a start and end time. And then you roll into the regular meeting. That's why Justen's never had to run a meeting like this. This is all new to him. So, or you keep it as we've had it before, where it just is part of the regular meeting. So if we have it as part of the regular meeting, and that's why you'll see 2 different copies, it does require a change. Okay, just some logistic stuff that the community forum will be part of the regular board meeting or whatever it says in there. So that's kind of the intent there. So the committee wanted to have a full board discussion on where they felt. You will see that if we do, the way it's operating now as per, the original intent, there is a start time for 6 o'clock. And I did talk to Bob Butler real quickly, our legal counsel. And he said, Ron, it's best to, again, just set a time, like this evening, it was 6:10. If the community forum was done at 6:06, 6:07, we sit here until 6:10, just to make sure that the general public has the opportunity to come in, making sure that we don't start ahead of that. I told him that we do not have an end time. Bob, our policy, we do not have an end time. He goes, Ron, it's very defendable that if you start your meeting at 6:15 or 6:20, no one can say that you started early and that everybody had the opportunity to be there on time. So you can start a little bit later. So again, we'll have a full discussion with the board about which direction they would like to go. That's why you see two different policies there from that standpoint. Okay.
From a year ago when we first discussed this, I remember it primarily being logistics, making sure that everybody knew when to watch, for example. Was that the primary reason?
Knew when to watch. It was part of the meeting. And also to understand, again, we highlighted since it was part of the meeting, it was recorded.
Yep.
It's in the minutes now and things like that. It's public record. So we can continue the conversation when we jump into open session or into new business. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The other policy that we talked about was it was recommended that just to bring consent agenda as part of policy. So you will see that in 171, our regular board meetings did not have it. The board back in April agreed to do it. And again, WASB does recommend that it does become part of your meeting somewhere as part of your policy, that you will have a consent agenda or may have a consent agenda. Just, we should have it documented that we are doing it. Again, the committee is recommending to make it part of policy, that it says will be placed on the agenda. And again, this is just standard WASB language that you see highlighted there too. So again, just being brought forward for full board consideration.
And we discussed that in new business, or we're discussing?
We'll
that
discuss it in new business.
Okay.
Yep. And finally, the last part of it is we did have a meet and confer session with our staff. We invited, sent out 2 to 3 reminders for everybody. And again, we had it after school this time to try to bolster participation. We didn't have any, but again, doesn't mean we're not going to keep trying. We will have another one ahead of our employee handbook. Last year, that one was well attended by a couple people to then kind of highlight, hey, here's some things to maybe talk about as we start to think about changing our employee handbook.
So is it tried morning, tried afternoon?
Tried afternoon, yep.
No attendees.
No attendees in these opportunities,
We had
correct.
the most attendance at the last handbook.
Would have been in April, yep, before we bring handbook changes, so.
Do you think it's possible there's less attendance now because you're doing the, what's the name of the committee? I just forgot it. That you're meeting about salaries and
Compensation.
Compensation, thank you. Compensation.
That's talking about different things. But again, I think compensation, again, we had a Wednesday meeting, speaking of Wednesday meetings. And we had a conversation. It was part of what's on your mind, right? What's on your mind? Compensation was the number one response.
So that I'm wondering if that's why there's perhaps less participation here, because that is the number one thing on people's mind. And you already have a committee that's working on it.
Yeah,
that might be affecting participation.
It could be.
In a good way. I mean,
Mhm.
that you're addressing something
Right.
that is primarily on people's minds.
Yep. Now, hopefully the handbook, when we say, hey, obviously the handbook covers all sorts of things, hopefully we'll be able to get some good participation out of that, because last year, I think we, 3 or 4 different things came out of there from recommendations from staff. So we'll keep trying. Certainly will. We found out that there's no great time, so
Sure.
where everybody can play. So, but thank you very much again, Nicole and Troy, for your commitment on that.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Moving forward to new business this evening. Our first topic is discussion about strategic planning around Merton values, discussion and potential action.
Yep. So last month, the Student Achievement Committee, again, we brought this as a report to the board, and what came out of that Student Achievement Committee was to have a full discussion on how to move forward with the Merton values as part of the strategic plan. And there were some questions that came up that you guys wanted the administration to go and pursue a little bit. You can find all the answers to those in the February memo. Thank you very much, Maria, for putting that all together as it relates to what our enrollment was, what would be the new cost if we did want to continue a second step from the 6-8 level. You can see those dollars there too as well. So, so again, ultimately our administrative recommendation, again, as listed in the memo, would be to just to continue with the K-5. We already have the sets, continue to doing that as we are right now. We are recommending to not do second step at the 6-8 level. Again, that would require board action. You know, what we believe, just to kind of cover ourselves, and that would be to just make a motion not to offer second step for grades 6 through 8. Beginning in the 2025-26 school year, and that would be moving forward. And then our third recommendation is to put a team together, just like it would be with any other curricular opportunity, review, put a team together in the district of multiple stakeholders to review and to possibly recommend something for the Merton values moving forward past the 25-26 school year. So ultimately that would be ready for the 26-27 school year. So just open it up for board conversation and any action that they would like to surrounding any of the Merton values conversation.
So administration is making some recommendations, right, that we could potentially take action on.
Correct.
So.
Correct. Yep. And it is listed as potential action. So anything in the Merton values, second step, SEL.
No specific motion.
I don't have a specific
this.
motion.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll open it up for discussion around this topic.
Yep.
So.
Timeline clarification run. So not renewing second step, but putting together a committee to look at what other things we would do to achieve this part of the strategic plan. You said for which school year? So is the committee start now? So it's ready for when we don't have second step, or would we have a year with nothing?
We would have a year with nothing for students in grades 6 through 8. Correct. Yep. When we say nothing, again, we still have, again, when we talk about social and emotional learning, huge standalone curriculum, we would not be offering second step and offering that opportunity for students. Again, we had 34 students out of, let's use some easy numbers, 300, again, less than 10% from that offering opportunity there. Not to say, again, this is just second step. We're going to continue with the enhanced ACP class. That's what would roll forward for the students who, for the other, let's just use round numbers, for the other 260 students, we would keep with the enhanced academic and career planning course, just as it is now. And then ultimately we would investigate for something in the 26-27 school year. So we'd put that team together to review for next school year. So we would start that in the fall and then ultimately bring a recommendation to the board later in the springtime of 26. So I wouldn't want to say do nothing. We just didn't do the second step program.
So to reiterate, we had 20 students in 6th grade that opted into the program.
Correct.
14 in 7th grade and 0.
Correct.
In 8th grade that opted in the program.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I feel it's a great time for us to evaluate the entire second step program, is my opinion. Since we're looking at this pillar as Merton values, for continuity purposes, probably would make sense to run 2 separate programs.
Are you talking about for primary and intermediate?
Correct.
Primary, don't we already own it for X amount of time?
We own it forever because it was
14 version or something.
Whatever version it is, 2011.
Yeah.
It is an old, it's old. It is old. Yeah.
So what I would recommend is, let's take second step and put that committee together to look at our SEL curriculum moving forward as a district. That would be a motion I would make, is to
26-27.
For the primary, so primary wouldn't use SEL in 26 or in the next year?
specific to
Second step.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see them continuing with second step this year for the primary, while they are figuring out what they'd like to do next. The amount of importance to being able to work with one another in community. And I'd also want to hear from our principals if we weren't going to be continuing something like that in the primary, because that wasn't part of this discussion.
Yeah.
That the recommendation came from.
I think maybe we might not have to wait for an entire school year. We get a committee going sooner. Last time the committee started, we went from, it was pretty quick, right?
I'd have to take a look at the timeframes.
Okay.
Probably was, I think, in April to December. So I think we approved it in March, correct? Or when did we approve it?
No, it was summertime.
summertime or
Mhm.
whatever. And I think there was a little, something that might have happened in the world
Yeah.
during that time.
See,
But I know this year, we don't have the capacity to start that right now. With all the Act 20 implications, I mean, I don't want to speak for Maria, or I don't think right now we would have the capacity to even start something in April or May.
My recommendation would be if we do the process that we. Which is a little bit more complicated than we just want to teach it. Yeah, so, we definitely started, we'll actually. But it's an issue that I think a lot of and typically all want to reach. You guys kind of see my board works a lot with that. I would be very cautious.
So in the,
How,
go ahead, no, please, Nikki.
how much of the second step material is still being utilized with it being 14 years old in primary?
They do less than it's still on a high percentage.
Mhm. So wrapped up in all this, those these motions that were made previously on opting. It was an opt.
The opt-in is just for intermediate.
It
So
did
that,
say for 6 through 8.
yeah, that's
Yep,
only
just
an
for
intermediate. So that part is that we do have to. If there's no second step, there's nothing to opt out of for the intermediate. So if that's what we're deciding, that's just the intermediate part.
Well, that would be one aspect of it. Obviously, this encompasses an entire,
Yeah, because
the discussion is about the entire K-8 approach.
the administration's position is that the Merton values pillar, right? That social emotional learning is encompassed in that.
The Merton value pillar we would investigate those Merton values and try to either create, find, replicate, and again, that's what the committee would work for, to really enhance and make sure that those are aligned with those values. Correct. Yeah. But it is, those values are aligned with some social emotional standards
Mhm.
and things like that too as well.
So while that committee is working, I would want us to keep our current curriculum this next year while the committee is doing that work. I would not like to see the primary school without that curriculum for a year.
So why do we think when we get to intermediate school that parents are saying this isn't important to my student?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, I think that's a little bit more nuanced question, right? Because it isn't just SEL, there's also the ACP. So since there's two curricula or two options, the choosing to be in the ACP doesn't mean you don't think SEL is important. It means that there was the word career planning in it, and I think that's very attractive to people. So I'm not sure that that's I didn't want them to have this. There's two choices and they needed one, and I chose this one for them.
Is it an and or can they do both?
When you say and or,
It's one or the
At
other.
the same time.
oh,
Yeah.
It's the same.
6-8. Oh, okay.
It's the same time.
6-8.
So either way, they're getting ACP and they have the option to do it ACP with SEL. Okay.
So it's choosing ACP or ACP plus SEL. Without the second step addition. Yeah. So, to my question, people are choosing just the ACP without the SEL.
Correct.
Addition. So, I mean, that to me would says a lot about. You know,
But yes, and I will say that even when they are selecting for that, some people, and I am one of those parents, looked at where as a child someone who has a child who needs more benefits from more socialization, I looked for where more of the kids would be. And since I would have liked to have him to be an ACP plus SEL, but it was such a small group that I opted him into the larger group for greater socialization purposes. So there's some nuance there that might not just be people don't want SEL. I prefer that he have that, but given that's where the community was, or that's where people were choosing, I made that selection for my child.
Because we did survey families a year ago, and that's what I was kind of pulling up because I was like, I know we asked, I know we asked that question. And again, the main reason for opting out, again, was the main reason 25 is my child asked not to participate. But I shouldn't say that was 25%. The largest was about 29%. I don't want my child taught social emotional learning. So then there was 25 was my child asked not to, wanted additional study hall time. And I didn't approve of the second, teaching learning of the second step curriculum. So it's approximately 39 plus 14. So right around
over 50%.
Little under 50%. So right around 44% said they don't want their child taught or they don't agree. So it's about 44%, 29 plus 14.
And they chose one answer, or did they chose multiple?
One answer. Just the main, we asked for the main reasons. So. So that's the information we have. It's a year old, but that's what we have. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say for the intermediate portion, we don't have the numbers to continue to pay for the curriculum. That's I would agree with the administration's recommendation to discontinue second step for the intermediate level for 6 through 8.
So as a district, when we require it, that's what I'm trying to get to. We're requiring it, require the participation. When people have a choice, they choose not to. That tells me that, maybe that if we gave that choice at the primary school, they would choose the same.
I would want to hear again, and while they might, I would really want to hear from principals about that, because the amount of need for being able to learn in community has a lot to do with these second step skills. So I would want to hear from principals what they would think about how they think the school would work if they did not have that added part of it. And they also need that so when they get to more independent learning, when they get to the intermediate school, they have practice at that or working with others when they're not as closely supervised.
Yeah, we would like to see the K through 5 to continue to develop that. And we do see that part of and again, it's a small amount, and again, just kind of a core development to the whole child from that standpoint, but from a K-5 level. But Justin, your point being, yes.
So if we were to continue as is, when we get to this committee, would the committee be determining new curriculum for both?
I don't want to determine with the.
Well, we wouldn't want to have two programs necessarily, right? Okay, so we look at a K-8 curriculum. Would that be in the scope, I guess, would be the question. Looking at the entire program would be in the scope of this committee, not just 6 through 8. Okay.
How are we reach? What would our student plan for Open Valley?
Okay. Further discussion on this inside. A couple more things.
So the second step, when they charge us for the program, is that $10,000 for 5 years? Well, that's a K through 8, or is that just?
That's 6 through 8.
That's 6 through 8. That's just the digital.
Yeah.
So that number, like, I would have, they don't just offer it to exactly what it did, attached to the memo, like, that's a one or.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, so
But
even
to
if.
continue, sorry,
Okay.
to continue at primary, there's no cost. Twenty 11, right?
Nope, 2020 or 20, I
It
guess.
was improved in 2020, but it's a
I think the kids,
second step hadn't. Yeah, they were transitioning to digital.
Mhm.
Digital curriculums and
but they were the 2011 kids.
copyright 2011.
So,
there's
so if
2014
the
stuff.
committee decided not to even do an SEL for 6th to 8th grade, it would basically still be the same price for the K through 5. Oh, you're not, okay, then the committee wouldn't even think about.
And not offer, so we go to one motion. Or at least. Stop curriculum.
So I,
Or the committee could get away from 2nd step and come up with their, like you said, develop your own. So the program wouldn't be linked to a certain 2nd step or.
so that, and I guess that's where I'm coming from is, this is a pillar of our strategic plan. But we get feedback at 6th or 8th grade, people are saying they don't want it.
I don't
Right.
think they're saying they don't want the pillar. I don't think they're saying they don't want
Social emotional learning curriculum.
that portion.
Yeah,
That-
but we're defining Merton values. This is a pretty big part of that pillar. That's why we're having this discussion, right?
It's an aspect of the social emotional curriculum, just like it would be for ACP and some of those
Because
others.
it says it's found on the strategic plan, pillar goal 1, and strategic objective 2. We are to enhance student personal growth by focusing on our Merton values.
But we have not asked people, and said, do you not want us to teach inquisitiveness? Do you not want us to teach kindness? We've asked specifically about SEL, about that curriculum.
No, understood.
And there was a lot around 2nd step publicly, nationally,
Mhm.
that we've talked about. That whole SEL 2nd step was a firecracker. Yep, it was. It was.
We went through it.
Yep, and that's why, I mean, the parts that were as the most, and again, we were using even in our, as old as we could get. But that's why we're asking to just separate ourselves from the 6-8 SEL. The family said thank you, but no thanks. They feel that either their child is ready or whatever, they want some other opportunity. And we agree with that. We would like to, though, continue to offer something for our littles, K through 5, to continue that program once a week, to continue to enhance that aspect of the total child.
And you don't even call it social emotional learning.
I think we call it 2nd step.
Is it called 2nd step?
I think we just say it's 2nd step time, I think, yeah.
So that's where, the original motion back in June of 2020 was social emotional learning curriculum. And now we made motions since then specific to 2nd step. And that's where I'm getting a little.
It was specific to 2nd step because it's not saying that you can opt out of learning kindness in the classroom. You can opt out of the 2nd step curriculum specifically. That was my understanding of the motion at the time. That's 2022.
Justin, your
motion?
Right. The opt-out motion was specific to that curriculum. It was specific to 2nd step.
Yeah, then we
Yeah.
would allow SEL to be put into the ACP because of certain.
state mandated stuff.
Yep.
I think, Justin, you're talking about the original motion though, right? Back in 2020.
Which was just approving a social emotional learning curriculum. Right.
Correct. And again, at the time, that curriculum was tied to the objectives. You take objectives to what 2nd step was offering at that time. So we just aligned ourselves with that.
Okay.
So I'd make a motion, but I need to know how to word it.
Basically, the administration would be, I mean, for the second step aspect of it, for the 6-8, the administration would be looking for the board to approve a motion that eliminates second step programming in grades 6 through 8, beginning in the 2025-26 school year.
And I'm just gonna ask again publicly why we have to do that. Why can't you as administration just make that decision?
Well, we feel that because we called out second step because there's nothing for those families to opt into. The motion is for grade families to option their child into second step curriculum during the registration process. It will no longer be there. We're requesting for it to be pulled from the registration process. So the board put it in. We believe the board needs to take it out.
So you're asking for us to take the opt-in out?
No, we're asking you to just eliminate second step beginning in the 2025 school year.
But that motion will
6-8.
still stay. You add.
Won't it be out by default because there won't be anything to opt into? That was my.
Right now.
I remember a conversation with Bob.
And that's what
Yeah, right now it would
Too,
be,
right?
if you bring it back, bring second step back.
Well, then it could be, we'd have to have again, then you would have a new curriculum that would, and again, we believe that there's other great
And
things
if
out
as long as
there.
it's not second step, then that motion would never apply.
We would have
It
to,
was
then we'd have to
specific
come
that
back and say,
curriculum.
okay, if we do choose second step. Fast forward. Again, logistic wise, would we have to say, well, we said we're not going to offer second step. Would we have to undo that motion? May have to, just for logistic stuff.
I think if it's not an option, I kind of agree, then it's a moot point. I don't know why it needs to be reversed. And we're not buying the new
Right.
at this point in
But
time.
he's saying since we said they could opt in, we need to say there won't be anything to opt into.
And that would be by eliminating 6 through 8.
Right. Yeah.
We believe just to keep things clean, just to,
As opposed to the board said you're supposed to opt in. And then the administrators said, oh, look, we don't have this curriculum anymore. There's nothing to opt into. They want the board to make that decision. So it does not appear they're making decisions
Still have
without.
to be on the registration
we believe that. We
No
believe.
policy,
that.
there's no policy.
by the direction.
Still do the motion. We can still offer it unless you change that. We just.
We didn't approve renewal of a contract for $2, $7, or $10,000.
Right, that's why. Kind of like clarification. Because in like, my professional opinion on this is. Being quiet on a topic doesn't mean kind of just. We need a motion to directed administration offer. My view, it's offered until. Now it's a current motion or something different to replace them. And that happens a lot in curriculums, we don't update curriculums at the time. For example, science hasn't been done in elementary, probably every year back next year, but we're silent on it. Materials are a shift, similar to second step, and we just keep refilling it. When we're silent, we deal with what is currently in place until we have something to do for an emotion to do.
But it's not in policy.
No, it's
No, it'd be an official board motion, so which means it's.
There was a direction by.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we would make a motion regardless of what, like if I wanted to make a motion to eliminate second step period, we'd still have to, you're saying still have to reverse.
Once
This
it's gone, it's gone.
No, but I think Justin's talking about from the K.
Correct.
If I just say, hey,
This is for the entirety.
make a motion to eliminate second step as the approved SEL curriculum, because I think it needs to be reevaluated just across the whole district, just with the age of the curriculum.
Well, and I guess
everything.
I was under the understanding that that was happening this spring from previous conversations, because we knew that the contract was up.
They got for 6-8, that
The
even
contract is
contract
up
that they
for
still
6-8.
have the kit to be able to use for K-5. So it's my understanding that it was only 6-8 that we were specifically looking at.
Correct. With the literacy lift, with the, in particular, the primary staff, because ultimately this affects all the primary teachers with the literacy lift and the second year implementation of the mathematics curriculum. And with the Act 20 work, we felt that we could pause the Merton values work for a year Again, because we kind of we're going down this direction for 6-8, but from a K-5 standpoint, we had something in place that was already purchased, no new money, to move forward next year. And then with that, and then ultimately do that curriculum adoption 1 year. So.
Okay, I make a motion that we eliminate the second step curriculum for the 6-8 grades, starting with fall of 25. Did that cover all the parts?
That'll work.
We can keep discussing. If it gets a second, we can discuss.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion? So that motion by eliminating second step in 6th through 8th grade, you feel suffices to address the opt-in, opt-out.
You got it.
That covers us.
You got it. That covers us there. Yep.
So that directive is gone.
If the vote
passes.
approves, if there's a majority of the vote of the board, that
So
means
this
it's
is where
gone
I'm gonna
6-8.
go back to be approved. Second step is the official curriculum. Back in June of 2020.
But now it'll be the official curriculum from
K through 5.
Correct.
Correct. It'll be the official curriculum K through 5.
You put that in the motion.
Because the motion is specific for 6 through 8.
Specific for 6 through 8. Yeah. Because throughout all the motions, there's never been a discussion or a motion discussing K through 5 leading up to today.
That also means financially, we don't have to do any of those numbers. That would be that takes care of that decision as well.
So we're still in discussion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're in discussion mode.
So if we do that, can we add to the motion, put a timeline on like K through 5 being,
I think we'd want a different motion for that portion of it.
I think we could add. You can to a motion that say,
Within this time frame.
so I do think it needs to be really,
or K through 5
Reevaluated.
second step for 25, 26, and then yeah. They need to have a solution by the end or the beginning of the 26, 27 school year.
Yeah, you need a board motion. You just direct administration to do that too as well.
Yeah, I don't know that we need a motion for that, right? We can.
You would, in theory, you could just tell administration, we expect we want to see a plan by, what is your.
Because it's still in the minutes and
Very similar to, a curricular adoption. We'd like to see your plan and your timeframe. To recommend to the board a new program that replaces, and that will suffice to the Merton values for the student experience program. I mean, you can tell us to do that. We wouldn't need a motion. And then ultimately we just kind of keep that as updates.
I just have to say that 43%, those 6 through 8 parents went through K through 5, and when it hit 6th grade and they had the opportunity to opt out, 43% said no.
but we don't know if they would have said no in the 3rd grade. They might have thought now that they're in middle school, and we didn't ask those questions. We don't have that data. So it could be something to look at, but we don't know that part.
I'm sorry, I don't see it that way. I see 43% at the end of the day, they were given the option and they said, no, thank you.
That was from 52 responses. We had 52 responses.
Then I would,
we had 200 and something responses when they chose to opt their kid out.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
from the survey.
might not
I mean,
know why
the
specifically.
survey
For
was-
the reasons,
yeah,
right? Because
the-
my reason wouldn't be included in there.
Sure.
And we only asked the people who opted out why. So if you said, yep, I opted my child in, you skipped that part.
We didn't do that part.
I would say it's time to update a survey.
34 students.
Yeah.
Opted in. So, all right. I like the idea of making sure that by the time we hit 26, 27, second step is no longer the approved.
Or it
I
needs
want them
to
to
be
investigate it, yes.
reevaluated, updated, something, because things change.
Right. I'd want to hear from the committee what they think is the best option.
Correct.
And Ron, you're saying we would just have to give board directive?
Correct. Yeah, that's a board directive.
Everybody comfortable with that? Okay. You state your motion.
So my motion is that let's see if I can remember all my words. We eliminate the second step curriculum for 6th through 8th graders starting in the fall of 2025.
Second step.
Second step.
Second step,
correct.
yeah, sorry.
Yep.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to,
Would you mind reading? Can you read my motion back so we know what goes in the meeting?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got it.
We have,
Oh, I got it.
yeah, we have a,
We're
we have
fine.
a. so
We
have a-
review a lot of film.
We have a motion and a second to eliminate second step curriculum for 6th through 8th grade, starting with the fall 2025 school year.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Whatever the committee,
Yes.
I'm going to recommend we put this on a next month's agenda to give that board directive. Do you want that to be?
That'll be part of our strategic plan update and work that you guys will see and stuff like that too. I mean, we certainly can, if we wanted to make it, but we can start working on that. Not now, but we'll start working on the plan.
Yeah, it
together.
sounds like we're in agreement on some of those things. So I think we should just clarify that so that you.
Okay.
Confusion.
Okay.
Okay.
job team.
There we go.
Thank you for your patience as we
Thanks,
work through that.
everybody. Yep.
Okay, now we are moving forward to the approval of the part-time primary school associate principal. contract.
Yep. So again, thank you to Mr. Blessington and again, and thank you to the board for all of your consideration. And I know we've been talking about this and having dialogue back and forth, so we really appreciate the time and consideration. So again, our administration is recommending that we continue on with the part-time associate principal contract as outlined in the the board packet. And we feel that the size of Merton Primary School, not only from the student standpoint, but from the staff standpoint, where it is quite large. And again, we feel that having an administrator and a half there to handle that workload from a staff supervision standpoint to continue to be effective and continue to meet those board goals is important there too. So again, we feel that it's a vital part of Merton Primary School. Again, we're looking at some of the goals that we have from a standpoint of academic achievement, behavioral, and just kind of really making sure that from that staff morale standpoint too, for families, students, and staff, it continues to move forward in positive directions as we are seen. So again, just the administration is looking for a motion to approve the part-time administrative contract for Bryn Rohde as presented. It is a 2-year contract, limited term. There is no rollover provision. And as part of signing the contract approval is waiving rights to any non-renewal process as dictated in 1/18/24. So it would be 2-year though, set time frame, and then it would have to be revisited after 2 years.
So moved.
You guys.
I move the proposal. Do we have a second?
A second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the part-time primary school associate principal contract. Any discussion?
I will say that I've heard from community and from teachers that they think that this position and this person in this position is a significant add for our district and that they're really pleased with how things are going. So I agree that the workload and the amount of things we need to do, especially with the number of probationary teachers that we have, seems like the system is working well. And I think that for a 2-year limited contract, it's a good idea to continue to grow the stability.
So Ron, can we just recap what it was originally presented to us as the idea when it came through?
Sure. Yeah, the originally it was about a year ago, even a little
June.
less than a year ago, June.
June.
It was to assist in Bob's transition as Merton Primary School, to assist in day-to-day activities and to assist with the visibility of developing the climate and culture of his building. So that's really the original intent. And it was a 1-year period that we were taking a look at that time. To see if this was something that we wanted to, but again, the intent is for 1 year and then to take it out. So that was the official intent. So, yep.
And now we're being presented with 2 more years.
Yep, asking for 2 more years, given the effectiveness that we're seeing it, and I understand where all those
Yeah,
questions
yeah,
are
yeah,
coming
yeah.
from. Absolutely.
I mean, I originally voted against the position, so again, not the person, right? The
Yep.
positions. You and I have had a lot of discussions on
Yep.
administrative staff and all that good stuff. So
I do think it takes time to rebuild the stability. We had a year and a half of flux, and the teachers really felt that and the families really felt that. And I love to see how things are going now. And I think it'll take more than 1 year to solidify that. So I don't know that I would see this as a forever position, but I do think extending the contract for these next 2 years helps us to keep building on the gains they've made so far and solidify them with the community.
any further discussion?
What's the hours?
It's approximately 4 hours a day for 195 days. So Bob and Bryn work side by side. There's some flexibility there. Again, just working out times and dates. And again, it's typically 10 to 2. Bob is typically 10 to 2.
Students are here.
Yeah, when students are here. Yeah, and we are, I mean, we're looking forward again, if there is times where, you know, some professional development is needed, again, some hours are flexed that way too as well. But or just, you know, like all other administrators, just work. So again, we do try to be as professionally respectful. We really do, just like we would with a part-time teacher or a part-time employee, not to have them here full-time.
We have teachers that don't this much, they put a whole day in.
It's a different position, you know? Yep. Correct.
Any other discussion? All right. We have motion and second to approve the part-time primary school associate principal contract. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no.
No.
No. Motion does not carry. All right, moving forward to approving the 2025 summer school dates.
Okay, our is required by state statute, found that out a year ago. So that's why this is kind of new for the board. So that DPI requires the Board of Education to approve the summer school dates. So what you have in front of you is the administration is recommending that the board make a motion to set the 2025 summer school program to run from June 9th, 2025 to August 29th, 2025. That would encompass camp invention, any transition activities for 4th to 5th graders, any type of transition or any type of learning that would occur on our campus during that time. So just looking for that motion more logistic wise, so we can count it as in the FTE.
Motion to set the 2025 summer school program to run from June 9th, 2025 through August 29th, 2025.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2025 summer school dates. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving forward to the first reading of the proposed changes to district policies 363, 187, and 171 that we covered earlier.
Yep, we had a little conversation.
So this is just a time for discussion.
Yep. So any feedback for the committee? Let's just kind of start with 363. So, and again, need feedback?
We don't have to read them all this time.
No.
It's just first.
So the next one would be, again,
Okay.
final approval would go to March 31st.
So 363 is really just clarifying teacher versus instructional staff. That's the
It
primary.
encompasses everybody.
Yep.
Yep, exactly. Encompasses everybody.
And that was a change resulting from something that happened.
Well, it was, there was a video that was shown that we would have liked to have previewed ahead of time from a non-teacher.
Fair enough.
And again, we handled that the same way.
Mhm.
We would move forward, but then we realized like, hey, for the letter of the policy, it doesn't cover that classification. So.
All right, any other discussion on 363? All right, the confusing one for me, 187.
187. Okay, and again, ultimately on any of these policies, if you have any other feedback to the committee, just let me know and I can kick it out or whatever it might be there too. So 187. So again, there is no recommendation from the committee, and we just wanted that dialogue. But where do we want it? Do we want it like it was before, or do you want it like it was today?
So the policy currently exists says what we've been doing since I joined the board is not correct for policy.
Correct. Yep. The policy says we set it's to happen before the regular board meeting, not in it. So it would be posted like we did today at a start time of 6 o'clock. And then ultimately we can set a time of 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it might be. Maybe 15 is more realistic then, every day, especially if we're going to have a commute or a student showcase run through there. And if the student showcase takes 8 minutes, then at 6:15, we wait, we sit, chit chat.
Which we did prior to last April. I experienced that, and then I've experienced this as well. So
Prior to last April, it was start time.
Ron did it correctly.
Yep.
He placed it from 6 to 6:15, but our
We didn't
president
wait.
back then refused to wait the.
we did, well,
15 minutes.
I remember waiting. I do
And I
recall.
called
I do
point
recall.
of order on it, and I was ignored on it. So several times. So
So we would have to wait until the
6:15.
6:15.
Whatever the date
If
is. Yep,
the community forum does not carry us to that point.
correct. Yep.
See any other downsides of making the change?
It's about being
The
public
open
record.
It's public record because it's a special meeting. And again, it wouldn't be so right now or previous to if you spoke at public comment, like all the way from the student showcase,
Mhm.
we put the student showcase, we thank students for coming. If a community member came and spoke to the board and dialogued around a topic, that person's name is listed in the minutes and the topic that was being discussed. So, again, it's pick or choose, pick or choose. I'm indifferent on it. Again, it's kind of
A lot of people don't like to talk when they're on. They don't feel as comfortable.
And then delegations to be heard is on.
Is on the record.
well,
Yes.
is on the record. No, we do
Everything's
videotape. Everything's recorded. Whether or not it becomes official part of the minutes that are published as a class 1 notification in the in the Waukesha Freeman, that all becomes
Searchable stuff.
searchable stuff. Yeah. There would be no official record. You'd have to go online and view the video and say, oh, Ron Russ talked to the board.
I feel like since there's a video regardless, that the likelihood of someone not speaking because we made this change is less because there's video anyway, right? So I anticipate that doesn't keep the community from coming forward as much as it might have before when we videotaped.
So I like the fact that we would recognize the students as part of the public record, but we can do that separately. We could do the community forum, engage them, and then we could put something on the agenda just acknowledging. Like this evening, we could say, hey, congratulations to these students.
Mhm.
Then that's part of it.
Or thank them. Yeah, as part of, just a highlight, student showcase highlight.
Because in the past, we did have challenges at times with topics during the community forum and students in the room.
Correct.
Which we want to try to avoid.
And that's why we always had them go
Students
first.
first. Yeah.
And then the people who wanted to leave, they could, but ultimately from a student standpoint, then it would be, if we were having some other adult conversations that families wanted to make that choice, whether they wanted to participate in or did.
All right, so as long as we go back to the way it was prior, current policy, and just make sure we follow the time, the stated start time, that we put legally meets the expectation.
That would meet the expectation legally and our policy. Correct. We wouldn't have to do anything.
And you can change the time up every meeting. If you know you're gonna have a student
Yeah.
showcase and there's gonna be more room to it, you put it till 6:15 or 6:20.
Yeah, if we say, for instance, in the summertime, when we don't have a school, we would probably say 5 minutes, 6 o'clock, we start the board meeting. Anybody want to talk? No one does. 6:05 is when we would set our time, and then we would chit chat, and then we go from there. Yep. So am I hearing that the will of the board is just to keep it keep the current policy as is,
The way we did it
the
today.
way we did it today?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so we will not be moving that forward for a second week. Okay. All right, 171, consent agenda. Any feedback around that? Again, this policy would make it policy that you would do a consent agenda. Again, it highlights the same way we're doing it right now. Again, just a reminder for consent agenda at any time, a board member can request any part of that to be pulled and to be discussed individually.
Can we make it so that donations aren't a part of the consent agenda in general? So I do think it's nice to make sure that we acknowledge the community.
Yep.
Because the policy doesn't outline what. is-
Policy does not outline what
It
it
just
is.
gives a
Yeah,
suggestion.
since
of
we've
what
been
is
using it, we've been lumping
suggested.
donations in there, and there's been some confusion in the community about whether or not we actually receive some donations and that kind of thing. So
Sure.
I think that would be,
Sure.
if we just
All right.
make it a,
That's good.
So what I'm hearing there is.
That could be before your report or during.
Yeah, yeah.
Put it in your.
In the principal, in the district
administrator's report.
donations, and then we also want to highlight student showcase.
Yeah, for me, it was really just eliminating having to read the.
reading the.
financial
Got it.
records.
From what I read, the only real downside to doing a consent agenda is that sometimes boards forget to look carefully at details and then sometimes things get missed. So when we have a consent agenda, we are all remembering that we need to go look at the details that don't necessarily
Yep.
come up here.
Yep, and all the same information is available publicly. We're not changing any of that.
Or packet
Still
sustainable.
links.
5 days ago.
Everything's right there. Yep. Okay, well, we'll move that one forward. Again, if there's any feedback around, just let us know.
Okay, moving forward to approval to purchase Chromebooks for the 2025-26 school year.
Thank you to Mr. Binney. Again, it's been a busy tech world right now, as you can hear with kind of the economy and some of the political things that are happening out of Washington and around the world as it relates to tariffs. So Jim and I have had some conversations around is maybe we want to get a jump start on some of these purchases before the potential of increases go up. So we went through our normal bidding process and talked to 3 different bidders, and Jim, feel free to jump in. But what we are finding even in the technology world now is ultimately these companies are going to the same distributors, right? And saying, hey, I need 110 Chromebooks at this model. Okay. Well, another one is going to say the same thing. And so now they've kind of gone to this kind of regional ideas, like first come, first serve. You ask first, we're going to give you our best price from that standpoint. Which gets difficult for us, unfortunately, but because then it becomes a race to see who can get to their distributor first. Again, it's a very fair bidding process. We kick it out at the same time and try to get it there. But our fear is, you know, like we saw, we only got 2 bids. I mean, we can try to call as many people and they're going to call that person, that distributor, and they're going to say, hey, I already gave it out. So that's just one aspect and one thing I just wanted to kind of preface as we
Those 2
start to
bids
talk
are
about.
exactly the same amount
Yes.
for those 110. So there's not a,
No, which is great because that way we know,
Yep.
again, that's the bidding process. We want to make sure that we're not getting ripped off. So that 199 Chromebook doesn't become 210.
We'll get to the discussion portion in a.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, yeah,
Oh.
let's get.
Oh, let's get a motion.
Get a motion.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just.
So we're just looking for a motion not to exceed the 38,761, which is the low bid. Again, we didn't.
So
call it a
moved.
contract.
second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. The approval purchase Chromebooks for the 2025-26 school year. Any discussion? Jim, go ahead.
As part of that, you know, I actually had an update on Friday because a lot of what's been happening is one of the other reasons why I jumped on this is people are locking in on more places, which I did. However, other people were able to pull the trigger faster. And so like a CWG one, their inventory got so low, they jacked the price by $30.
Yeah, okay.
So
It's like an extortion.
with the PDS dollars, they were able to lock in the inventory and price for me until after our doing.
Okay.
Well, they able to kind of get that there, they did it for the staff.
So is this exclusive to Chromebooks or is this just any
I find
platform?
Later this spring, when we start talking our my E-rate projects for like larger scale network type projects in the district. I'm finding that here as well. Usually I'll get about 5 or 6 bids by this point. Right now I have 1 because that vendor was the first one that hit up the manufacturer, the distributor, and they went, here's our best offer. We're not giving the state with it. So it limits our options.
with some vendors, they're that really want your business, they're doing internal cuts to try and get your business. It just depends on who's building it.
So besides a Chromebook, what are our other potential options?
As far as a student device.
Yeah.
Then, you're looking at notebook-based laptops, tablets, iPads.
Is that like cost prohibitive or?
iPads, they don't discount for education. So what the price is for the normal consumer, that's true. So, $189 for a Chromebook, that still lasts 200 years. Having an iPad. Laptop, kind of the same thing. Potentially, I'm looking at higher support frequency as well. Chromebooks are very.
Okay.
And if we already are using Chromebooks, you're adding to our Chromebooks. If we start to switch, would we need to give all new inventory, or would you then, you would have to manage.
Transition at some point.
Transition has to. Mainly, for these Chromebooks, we're looking at, this is our normal spring purchase for the fifth grade that's coming. We have no grade levels that are on cycle this year. So if we were looking at, hey, let's move to a different device, and, technology device, like Windows-based laptop, would be not absolutely. It's just a different.
And our
Will-
staff. The switch to the Apple device would be we'd have to do some
Yes.
PD around that.
Yep.
Will there be an increased cost for the new class coming in, or we're holding costless?
Technology fee.
No,
We would bring that to the board, but these devices are about the same as they were a year ago. I wouldn't anticipate, and again, especially if we say, hey, a year ago it was 40 and they were right around 200, 205.
Cheaper, where I was like, to go to lock them in this year than last.
Yeah. So that $40 would be 160. So
Okay.
I'm still covering some of that cost. But that's a great question. We would talk about that at the finance committee and then recommending fees moving forward. But that's a great question.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving?
Can I just ask one more thing?
Yes.
And just to be clear, because we do always ask for a minimum of the 3 bids, we did go out
We
to get
submitted.
more.
Yes.
Okay.
IT savvy.
I knew the answer. I'm just, for transparency's sake.
Yep. Because that is part of our policy is that we
Yes.
go out, it's
Okay.
and then we just wanted to demonstrate that we've tried.
Okay. I'm done. Sorry.
Maybe link that to the board packet next time, so that's it. Saying that they declined to bid.
We did.
But like the reason why is we.
Oh, we can link
Like-
that documentation. We can link the
Yeah,
email
like,
or
hey,
whatever it
we
is. Got it.
declined to bid because we already getting a better deal that we give you.
Certainly can.
Strange that they would have.
Good catch.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the purchase of Chromebooks for the 2025-26 school year, say yes. Oh, sorry, not to exceed $38,761. Say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, say no. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And again, those will be, again, I'll work with our auditors about crediting that to the 25-26 fiscal year. Thank you.
Moving forward to new business, approval of crack filling, resealing, restriping of district asphalt for the summer of 2025.
You bet. So again, just trying to get on people's calendars. Again, that's why we're trying to do this early because we do have what I would say is try to get a small window where that they can be here. And all 3 of these companies have committed to, if you tell us by the end of February where you want to be and where you want us, they certainly can too. So again, this would be for a 25-26 budget item. Obviously, we're not purchasing anything until they complete the project from that standpoint, but you'll see 3 bids. I did contact 4 vendors and 3 of them did respond to us. And the low bid was PLM, who has done a ton of work for the school district throughout the years, at least my years here as well. So they came in at the low bid of $25,200 and then approximately $1,400 for heat patching. I'm requesting to the board in their motion to move that up to $30,000 just in case there is some other heat patching that they do come across. To be realistic, and again, they have walked the property. They feel that that's all that needs to happen, but you never know with all this cold weather, even things like that, if anything needs to be done. So just to give us a little wiggle room from that standpoint. So just looking for a board motion to approve PLM not to exceed $30,000 for district asphalt, crack filling, resealing, heat patching, and restriping.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve the crack filling, resealing, and restriping of district asphalt for summer 2025, not to exceed $30,000. Any discussion?
Ron, how often do we have to do this?
Every 3 years.
About 10,000 a year to
Yep.
maintain?
Mhm. Yep, just to maintain.
And this is, obviously, we just redid. Primary,
We did the primary.
that's not being done.
Yes, that'll be all resealed and things like that too as well. Correct. Yep, that'll be part of it. Correct.
When did we finish that
2-3 years ago, around there would have been.
extension of the primary? Parking?
Mhm.
Really?
Maybe two. It wasn't 3 years ago, maybe two.
2 years ago, probably 2 years ago. We'll just get them all on the same cycle. Mhm. Yep.
And if we skipped it, didn't do it this year, the cracks get bigger and cost more money.
Yep. You don't want to do that. Not recommending us to do that.
I'm just
Yep. Yep. Now you could say, hey, we're going to cut the bid and not do the Merton Primary School and then have them bring them back in 3 years. But since they're here,
There's a cost savings when they.
plus, oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
sure there's less to do over here than.
The crack filling
mean,
part,
We have
again,
a
the
very
crack
nice-
filling
we have a
part
very
is
nice
over
par- We
here.
have a very nice parking lot compared to other feeder
Other,
schools.
we just want to make sure it
Very,
stays
very
that
nice
way.
parking.
Yes.
And we're asking for it to be paid out of the general fund.
General fund. Yep. Right now it is planned for as when we start talking about budget projections. And again, it was in our budget assumptions. Actually, I think we put in 45,000 in those budget assumptions. So, because the first bid I got was from Poblocki. So. And then the other ones came in. So in Black Earth used to be Super Sealers. They're the ones who did the parking lot over there. Super Sealers is what we knew them up from. Because I reached out to both of them and told me, no, we already submitted a bid for you. It's like, oh, I didn't know you guys combined. So, and then PLM has always been a good company to work with. Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the crack filling, resealing and restriping of district asphalt for the summer of 2025, not to exceed $30,000. PLM, say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you. East Park. Okay.
All right, moving forward to our last item under new business, discussion and possible action on directing administration to get approval from the Board of Education for any changes made to the human growth and development curriculum before presented to classes.
So we did in preparation for this agenda item, Maria, not we, Maria did create a kind of an overview of what the state statutes are as it relates. And again, the reason for this is the Board of Education, again, if we want to give the presentation, has very limited ability to change, has no ability to change a human growth and development because it is outlined in state statute, the process in which to go about doing for that. So we just kind of wanted to give some context to that conversation. Again, Troy, it's up to you if that's the direction you wanted to go. We just wanted to be ready for the conversation. Just to say, hey, what is the responsibility if a district chooses to do human growth and development? Because it is an option not to, actually. So Maria's created a presentation for us.
I read through it.
I read through it.
Yes, did I?
Did I? Okay.
Yeah, we all.
I mean,
Oh, so
Okay.
maybe I'll just address a couple highlights.
yeah, I think
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
it was,
We'll save your voice.
you definitely did a good job.
So, there was some major state law changes in 2012. That's been the most done, and a lot of districts didn't work after the state changes, and there hasn't been any more updates since then. At the time of 2012, the biggest change was human growth and development used to be required to be offered in school districts, and the law changed to allow school boards to determine to operate or not. And basically, at that time, it was boards talked about it. Do you want to offer it or not offer it? If you offer it, there's very specific things that boards have to put in the instruction, and those are noted on there. And there's also specific things of establishing the ad hoc committee. I've
probably facilitated 5 of those. They're not my favorite thing to do. I kind of like to say, if you don't have to open it up and the community is happy about it, to kind of leave it as it is. Because the ad hoc committee, it's very specific, who makes up percentages, what it looks like. So that's kind of the legal piece of it, where Merton is. A committee was done in 2015 that developed our videos and current curriculum concepts that we teach. I believe Dr. Russ facilitated that until I was hired in 2021. In 2021, I did a lot of updating on the human growth and development curriculum. I looked at what we had. I reviewed all videos and reviewed all presentations for them at that time to align. I also updated the web pages with some other things on how we're managing. Mostly in grades 3rd through 6th, things directly come from me. I work with the classroom teachers at setting them up. It's pretty much videos. And then our biggest thing in their health classes and the other grade levels. So really, it is up to, at the time of the committee, there shouldn't be any changes without reopening that committee process. That committee is advisory, which means that the board can accept, to be honest, any committee is advisory to you, right? Like you can either accept it or not accept it. But in most cases, in the past, I worked really closely with the board president at making sure we have a nice collective committee. So we're actually hearing and develop a program that our community wants. And then at that point in time, you know, we should be using the exact same things. So whatever was developed from that time, whatever videos were chosen, unless we reopen the committee to do that. I'm not recommending that for the board at this time. We pretty much found that a presentation was changed in 8th grade. At some point in time, it was not what was delivered this school year. It was before I was here. I can't track everything down of when that happened. But I did put on for a professional development time on February 20th to work with our teacher who delivers human growth and development, Matt Conway, who did a really nice job at just re-looking at everything and making sure everything else is accurate for the one piece part of what we were delivering. Because our website is not up to date with the change in presentation. So that's kind of a little bit overview of what the legal conversation could be for the board and what we're recommending, which is just for us to take a look and look at what we're doing and making sure that we're all in alignment. I can tell you, like I said, when I came, we were all in alignment with what was posted. When changes were done, I don't know if Dr. Russ has anything to add with that.
The only piece would be is and the administrative report was to talk about that 8th grade error that was sent out. We accidentally sent a link that was to an old folder where families had the opportunity, if they clicked on the link, it opened up some old information. And there was the presentation, the old presentation had some information on there that was not in alignment with what the ad hoc committee recommended and the school board approved. So we're sorry about that. We really are. Again, thank you to Mr. Pomeroy and Maria for facilitating those changes and any dialogue that had to happen there too. Maria and Mr. Pomeroy are going to be going through on February 20th PD, which is Thursday, and making sure that ahead of the next delivery of our human growth and development curriculum in 8th grade and looking at everything too, is solid and tight. And again, that happens a little bit later in May, I do believe, Steve, right? That happens 4th quarter for both of those classes as well. But again, Maria and Mr. Palmer will be working side by side to make sure that everything is what that ad hoc committee says and what the board approved is what is being delivered and things like that too. So
the link wasn't a decision, it was a mistake.
what was it? Yeah, there was no malintent there. No, absolutely.
But that link was taught in 23 and 22, which did go against our policy.
And that's what Maria and Mr. Pomeroy are reviewing, correct?
Right, it was changed.
It was changed this year.
And who changed it?
I don't.
No, I'm not asking you.
Oh.
I'm just asking.
No, Mr. Pomeroy changed it to the, with the to the current ad hoc committee's recommendation in the board.
But was this change made? Did he ask for to do the change or did he just do the change on his own?
This year,
Yeah, and what date did he update that on? I know you have it on the computer.
January 24th, it was updated.
He updated on January.
Updated it January 24th at 8:22 a.m. Yep. And the following Monday, the 27th as well. So.
And then he updated to this one.
Oh, to this one, correct. Yeah, gender identity, he just made the male and female.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
And then the gender expression.
The gender expression is what they're gonna make. Again, I'm not sure what the ad hoc committee says, but they're gonna take a look at that too and making sure that there's. The gender expression one is you could be both. Yeah, female, male, or what is it? Femaleness, maleness,
male,
or both.
Masculine, feminine, or
It's
other. It says other now, but it should.
It should say both. I think our ad hoc committee is gonna have to go back and take a look at it as both. So. Making sure we're clear.
So in 2021, that's when this curriculum that we're currently presenting was finalized?
No, it was created in 2015. Okay. It was then, so 2015 until now is the same curriculum that has been happening in 3 through 8. In 2021, Maria reviewed everything. When you were hired. Yeah, when Maria was hired. This is what I heard Maria say today. Maria reviewed it in 2021 and it was in alignment with the ad hoc committee. Okay. Somewhere, and again, Troy, to your point, yes, somewhere between 2021 when Maria came on and 2025, January of 2025, it switched over. It changed.
I like your website, that's what was on the website with the presentation was not presentation.
Yeah.
So what I reviewed wasn't. I don't know when that presentation.
Can you say it was like 2021 when you looked at it? Or Jim looked at it?
The fact that is that it got me some.
Yeah, that's what you said.
They're COVID. Yeah.
So that's.
Yeah.
From someone. Backtrack for sure.
Yeah.
People aren't here to talk.
Sure. But we don't believe it's a current staff member that made those changes.
We don't believe so.
Okay. So since it's a homegrown curriculum, can't we just lock that down so it's not editable? Once it's approved, like put a password on it or something so no one can change it? Okay, and that's part of the plan moving forward.
That is part of our administrative procedures, and that's what's happening on the 20th. Maria will have complete control over it and it can't be changed. Cannot be changed. The only person to be able to change it would be Maria. Not even me. I don't want access to that. Nope. You want access to it?
Maria, thank you for all that you do.
No, and I do believe it was a total mistake by probably sending that out.
Yeah, I mean, I got the link as an 8th grade parent, right? And I clicked on it. Well, there's a lot of stuff in that folder.
There's a lot of stuff in that folder.
A lot of stuff in that folder. So some with dates, some without dates. So I'm glad we are going to get this resolved and not have an issue going forward. You said not looking forward to doing another ad hoc committee. Do we feel it's necessary to have that discussion?
And how often is that typically done?
That also changed in 2012.
3 years.
And then it's back to that. Such a big process that it just left it. Yeah, and what-
And I don't,
Has been changed. Well, there's some change in health. That's what I'll say, but, there is no, UPI.
mandated, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
It's a fully homegrown curriculum.
This one is fully, yeah,
Yeah.
completely, yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to belabor the point too much, but do we know why the decision was made to make this change this year?
I think Matt reviewed it.
But, so we caught it this year, but
But he
previous
caught it 2
years.
years in a row though, and he didn't catch it 2 years ago, from last year.
Like our health. Yes. Which is another reason why we really want.
Sure, sure. Or just lock it down so that don't really change it.
But it's still. Part of that.
All right.
So our entire curriculum is online. You can watch videos, watch scripts of videos. It's pretty vanilla. As
Not-
again, it was,
I'll just say, I mean, this is a testament to the transparency that we do have, Maria, sending out the link and able to see these things. Parents were able to go look and I think brought to light this situation. So let's continue on that path of more transparency, the better.
right, in 2025 or 2015, it was again, transparency, but ultimately the heart of this is at the family. Yeah, heart of this is at the family. And so that's kind of when we talk about why haven't we brought it up? Again, it's still, I think that priority is still there.
So I'm going to make sure I do a better job of reviewing policies when things come up to make sure we're in compliance. Do we feel like we're in compliance with our policy on human growth and development?
Right.
What is there anything that dictates changes in our policy?
My understanding was that you only
Have to
that
go
you'd have
through
to go
the
to the
committee.
committee.
You'd have to go through, yeah, if
You
you
have to
want
form the
the,
committee, it has to have certain levels of membership and
So it
that's the only way to change it.
Right?
says
Yeah.
the superintendent shall present any proposed significant substantial revisions to the district's human growth and development curriculum to the board for approval prior to the implementation of proposed revisions.
If you like, people who want to that talk about establishment.
I think that's after the ad hoc committee gives their recommendations.
Oh, no, the board, I mean, your other action.
Sure. I guess do we have to put anything in our policy that says this thing's got to be locked down? Unedited. Right, once we approve the curriculum, it cannot be changed.
Already, what
That's that is
Yeah,
the
and I
standard.
fully trust that, right? But
But
you
it
know,
happened.
this is not a, right? How do we make sure that this is going to be fully locked down and not happen again?
Kind of like saying everybody's supposed to stop at a stoplight, but sometimes people don't stop at a stoplight. I think everything's there. You're not supposed to be able to do it. And we don't know what happened for that part, but it was eventually caught and corrected. Since you're not allowed to change it, I don't think saying again, you're not allowed to change it strengthens the you're not allowed to change it.
It was just human error and it was caught and.
Well, it was an
addressed.
open file before, right? Anybody could change it that had right access to it, right?
there was only two people that had access to it, I think. Three people. Yep, 3 people had access to it.
Now it's just you, Maria.
Oh. And then, like, you do what others.
That are controlled by Maria.
Got it.
Yeah, got it.
But we'll continue to send it out for people to see, just like.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
that. Should continue.
Okay.
Which was all.
All right.
We will check.
Says possible action. Did somebody want action this evening?
I don't think we need to have that action.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. Moving forward to future meeting and agenda items.
So we have a little break until our monthly meeting at the end of March. I am requesting if we could get the board together for a special meeting ahead of spring break for 2 facility and technology projects. The easy one is Jim is we're looking at switching out. Jim, we're end of life, or we're about probably 1 year over. I think we pushed this off as far as we can, is updating the district switches for our technology servers. Jim, do you want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
The network switches?
We're coming up on. Typically, you can look at. Right, that time.
Was that the cause of any of our problems?
No, that's it's an internet provider. We don't need to name them by name.
So meeting, you want to do meeting for discuss that?
To discuss that, yep. So one, and the reason for the timing on that one is we can get a 40% rebate. It's called E-rate, and again, but that has to be signed and approved by March 26th. We don't have a board meeting until the 31st. So we'd like to handle that.
We just move the whole board meeting then?
We can do that. 2,
My preference.
I know last time we looked at trying to get before spring break, and I think we struggled with it.
We might have to not do it on a Monday.
That will be really hard for me in March.
The other one, again, it would
We're
be
gonna have a
fairly
meeting
quick.
anyway, is what I'm saying.
Correct. Yes, we're gonna
Yeah,
we have to have a
it's
meeting in March. The
Okay.
other one would be a facility to talk about, we are pursuing a remodel of our intermediate school library. Okay. Again, I've got 4 contractors giving us bids. We've got some design work and would love to bring the facility committee together. And I think that's Troy and Dean.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Oh, yeah, it is. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it?
Last time I checked.
Check- check
So
this.
to bring Dean
Yeah.
and Troy together to do a committee meeting, a facility committee to review the bids and ultimately some design work that I'll share with the entire board, obviously, too. But then ultimately take a look at those switches and stuff like that. Again, that can happen before, but looking for a special meeting, possibly either the week before spring break, because again, the bids for the contractors is due this week. So I need a week to scrub them up tight. Jordan and I are going to review those. So just looking for something maybe the week of March 10th or the 17th.
How long?
Probably, again, no more than a half hour, I would imagine. Again, we're just talking about some facility projects that are, again,
Do we have a lot on the agenda for the 31st?
I do not have a lot on the 31st. Is typically a light board meeting. We've got some second read of policies.
No student achievement in March?
No, we do have a student achievement committee meeting in March too as well. We would need that.
My preference would be to meet once and just get it all done.
I could do the 10th,
Do a special meeting?
either.
I could do the 10th for the whole meeting as well.
I can. Will that give you enough time for whatever other things need to happen between now and
We'll
then
make it work.
that you need to hear from us?
We'll make it work.
Yeah, I can be there. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can make that work.
And Mondays
Oh,
are
let me
typically
check
good
that.
for Dean.
Yeah, Monday would work for Dean. Again, I can't speak for him, but
Right.
typically, let me make sure my Monday, the 10th. Got
As long as you think that's enough time.
Yeah, I think we can get it scrubbed. I'll have a facility committee meeting then the week before. And again, I'll work with Dean and Troy to get something on the books for that too as well. So yeah, I can move. We got a compensation committee meeting set, but it's enough notice that we can reschedule that.
On the 10th?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're unable.
Wait a minute, that's on the wrong. The 10th is a Monday in 2 months. It's March.
I was in February too.
Yep, let's try March.
So we're gonna move the 31st to March 10th.
I can do March.
Good? Yep. All right. Here for
Jim, does
28th.
that work for you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, PTO. Okay.
okay.
Good call, good call.
Oh. Thanks.
Ruining the party here. All right.
Scratch the tenth.
Okay, sorry about that.
11.
I don't know how Dean would feel.
Oh, there's band concert that night.
What is it?
Band concert, middle school. I'm here watching the band.
17. St. Patrick's Day. Cool.
I'm fine on the.
Works for me.
Yeah, I have to check. Probably one thing, I have to make sure I don't have a press rehearsal.
I
17th
can't do the 17th. I might be able to call in. I know it has nothing to do with St. Patrick's
Yeah,
Day.
Um,
For the meeting for the switches, does it have to be an evening? Can we do a, if it's a fast meeting, can we do it in the morning?
No, the morning, we could do a morning meeting for those. I would like to do the switches and the approval of the contract if we're gonna move forward with that, because we got to get on their calendar.
Mhm.
And then start ordering materials and stuff like that too.
What time's the thing on the tenth?
Do we have to wait till March for the switches?
Do you know what time the forum is?
Oh, 6. Then why don't we do it at 7?
7 o'clock.
Yeah, because that's, yeah, it's not gonna be an hour.
The 10th?
Yeah, we'll do the 10 to 7.
Is an hour what you were thinking for that?
Yeah, I think it was an hour. I think that's what they were.
And is that in this room?
Yep.
Yeah, because then you can do a walk-in quorum thing anyway.
Yeah, we can post, yeah.
So we're back
Will
on
be
the
set
10th,
up.
7 p.m.
and it's a, what about student showcase? Is that getting too late? For student showcase? I don't know who's coming.
Yeah.
Oh,
On the 31st.
okay. Well,
We can keep 31st.
I
and just have-
mean,
Then let's not cram and jam. I'll just do a morning meeting.
31st, I'm just hoping to be back. Who knows what
Oh, do you not think you'll be here yet?
spring break are coming back from Florida, so. But yeah, let's stick with the plan since it's been communicating to families at 31st and just do a.
Do you want me to work with you guys and kind of try to
Yeah.
find a quorum for a 7 a.m. meeting I mean, is mornings best for people if we did it at 7 a.m. for a special board meeting?
Typically,
Yes, usually.
Justin, you'll,
Mondays I have a standing 8:30.
we'll be done.
Okay.
If it's over a half hour,
Okay.
we haven't done enough prep work.
Okay. 31st, 28th,
31st,
19th.
And we'll find the next day.
Okay.
and then I will pull the board and we'll find a date
Special meeting
in the morning, Monday through Thursday sometime at 7 a.m.
to get our rebates.
sometime. Yep. To get
All right.
our rebate.
want.
Yep.
Good job, Jim.
Yep.
All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed say
Yes.
no. Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.